I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3.
How?
I just
Doesn't open until Thursday here.
Yeah.
How'd you see it?
He's in
operating word
Oz.
being here.
He just asked the wizard, and the wizard said, "Click your heels together, and you can see it."
Exactly. No. Here it actually opened yesterday with a midnight screening. So yeah, there's been a few screenings here already, and I attended one, and I just returned from it a short while ago.
So is it Norwegian? Is a Norwegian multiplex just a house with multiple TVs in them?
It used to be, but we have, but now we have upgraded to like actual like projection screens.
Don't forget the cheese wheel.
Yeah. Go for it.
But yeah, no, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And before giving my thoughts, and they will be spoiler free, I will just like say, just so everyone knows, I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. I was a fan of Rocket Raccoon already from the comics. I haven't read too much of like the 2004-2005 run of the Guardians, which made them all famous. But I had read Rocket Raccoon's earlier appearances, and based on those, I was a fan of the movie, and I was really hyped, looking forward to it going in. And the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, remains to this day my single favorite MCU movie. So I absolutely love Guardians of the Galaxy. The second one I thought was a little bit more so-so. It was more of an emotional thing. And it delivered on that, but relatively weak story-wise. I also believe that the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, which came out a few months ago here, that's the best thing we've gotten out of Marvel since I'm not going to say Endgame because I don't like Endgame, but Infinity War. And then it was this movie. This was a movie I desperately wanted to like. And I did not want to see any of the Guardians die or anything like that. I was actually like nervous going into the movie because these are characters I really care about. Like the last Marvel characters I really care about, certainly where like live action interactions are concerned. And I did have like that feeling going through the movie, like we're going into it. Who's going to die? Like I don't want it to be like a emotional pain to sit through. And I will say that the beginning of the movie kind of felt like a funeral to me. I don't know if the movie feels like that to everyone or if it's just me, because like I've been like so burned out on Marvel and I want to like this movie so much. But anyway, never mind that. Final thoughts on the movie itself. I loved it. It was amazing. It was a pure James Gunn movie. It was exactly the movie it needed to be. It had everything I wanted, and then some. I don't know exactly what the critics' problem is with it. I can imagine, but I loved it. I don't like this as much as the first Guardians, but I prefer this to the second Guardians. So this is right up there with the best of Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I just watched Guardians 1 and 2 last night. And I, on the other hand, I mean, I see where you're coming from. To me, I compare them so far to the Star Wars films. So I'm curious how this sizes up against Return of the Jedi, because to me, you have the first film, which is a lot like Star Wars. The second film is a lot more like Empire Strikes Back because it's more concentrated on the characters. It's more of a character story. So is this one kind of comparable to Return of the Jedi, or is this more of its own thing and it really... I mean, obviously you liked it, but I mean, does it really nail home the third film in a trilogy? Do you have to feel like now? Should I have run out and watch tonight? Should I watch Infinity War and Endgame just to be up to speed, or do you think I'll be okay?
You'll be okay mostly. Like it's obviously this is a different Gamora.
Right.
The thing to keep in mind is that this is not the same Gamora as we saw in the previous two movies. Like the last Guardians movie that ends with Nebula having not necessarily joined the team by the end of the second movie, but she's kind of like stuck with them, and Peter and Gamora being an item. That's where the second movie leaves off. Whereas this one, obviously picks up a few years later, and it picks
Right.
up with everything in a very different place.
I was gonna say, does it do a good job though, bringing up to speed, like of the events, and also like what some people may have missed out on in the Christmas special?
There's a reference to the Christmas special, but like there's nothing there. Like there's no mention of them like having acquired nowhere. That's where they reside now. If you didn't know that already, I don't felt that was addressed. Like, why are they all there? Like, you're going to be left with that question if you don't already know. It's just like something you have to accept going into it.
I was referring a little bit more to a familial connection, which really goes back to my Empire Strikes Back analogy, which would make this more Return of the Jedi, because we learned about a familial connection in the Christmas special. For those who may not have seen it, I don't want to okay, so they just already spoiled it in chat.
They continue that family theme. The family theme is strong here, and to me, that is one of the things that really clicked with this movie that made it work. In that sense, this one is more like the second one in that it's less about the story and more about the characters. This is very much so a study of the characters, their connections, and their backgrounds and everything. And it's really well executed, better executed than in the second movie, because in the second movie, I felt it was all about family relations, and the story was kind of like in the back seat. Whereas this is much better balanced here, because here you have like a very clear story. They're on a very clear mission here. Very clear villain with very clear narrative and agendas and everything like that. While the characters take the front and center stage. So I think that this worked really, really well. And I'm very happy with the movie. I was afraid to be disappointed. But that's the thing with me. I will always say exactly what I think about any movie, any project, regardless of what attachments I may have to it. And this one I loved. I thought it was really good. So I hope
people are asking about
of Adam Warlock, you're not going to be happy, because this is a very, very James Gunn, and very few characters have been. Well, I could not see Will Poultier as being a good fit for the comic book version of Adam Warlock, but this is not the comic book version. This is James Gunn version. And given that James Gunn's Adam Warlock is a completely different character who just so happens to be called Adam Warlock, then it's a great character in that sense. But again, it's a very different character.
All right. Paul, any questions for Andre?
I'm eating.
Culture?
Okay, so I mean, obviously the obvious question is the agenda stuff, which I think you've already kind of addressed, but
no, I haven't. I have not addressed the agenda stuff at all.
Oh, okay. Well, where are we at with the agenda in this film? Because I mean, that's going to be 99% of people's questions nowadays. Is this going to
be? That's where we have gotten.
Yeah, is that, and that's unfortunate, right? Instead of, is it a good movie? You know, is it fulfilling a fulfilling end to volume 3 into these characters that we've been so involved in for so long? But that's not the question. The question is going to be, how much agenda is in it? How much of the woke stuff is in it? How much of, do I have to figure out a way to filter it all out?
I want to tell a story just
to
illustrate where I'm coming from here.
Okay.
Apparently, this is something that happened in Oslo during the I say apparently because it could be like one of those like urban myths. But apparently then, whether it's urban myth or not, in Oslo during World War II, when Norway was occupied by the Germans, there was a play that was put up in the National Theatre, because you still had cultural life and everything like that, and the occupying forces, they were front and center and everything. Everything had to be proved, what have you, to make sure there was hidden subversive messages or something like that. But the people, even in theaters, they wanted to to do some kind of resistance, however subtle. And then they found a play where there is made reference to that today is the devil's birthday. And then they found, here's the play. And then they set this play to premiere on the birthday of Der Führer. And so the actor screamed from the stage, "Today is the devil's birthday." And of course, all the German representatives in the audience, they were horrified. They shut everything down. They wanted to shoot everyone. But they said, no, 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 no. It's right here in the script. Look, here's the book that the script is based on. It's there too. And they were like, yeah, okay, fine. Why do you have to do this today? And I'm like, well, this is the premiere. It's a coincidence. And that was their way of being subversive and sticking the finger right in the eye of their occupying leaders in a way that they could get away with. I see this movie as exactly the same thing. There is no overt wokeness in it. There are things that can be rationalized and defended to the superiors and the BlackRocks and what have you that want certain messages and stuff in there, but it's twisted and subverted. So the message here is something that at one level looks like it's an approved message, but instead it's a message that is pro-people, pro-family, pro-resist evil forces. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
In other words, culture you're going to approve.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm going to look at this film with as open a mind as possible, and it's somewhat a relief the way you've just described what's going on there. Yeah, I can't wait to review it. So I get the opportunity to see it tomorrow, and it will be something I will probably record in the car on the way home.
Yeah. So. But anyway, so like where message is concerned, there is a lot going on.
Okay.
And it's not the kind of message that you would get from any other Disney movie. On the contrary, this is a movie that could have been released 20 years ago that you wouldn't have batted an eye at because it all just seems like so standard, so Disney, so commonplace. But today, the message, if anything, is subversive, and I'm surprised that James Gunn was able to get away with it. I see it in much the same way as Peacemaker. That is something that many will like to say that, oh, it's woke. And no, it isn't woke. It looks woke. It only looks woke so that he can get away with the true anti-woke message that's actually there in the subtext. I see this as the same way. It's an anti-woke message that goes through it all.
Well, and I do know this with Gunn.
To pick up on it.
He was recently asked about everything and, you know, how his political leanings kind of got him in the hot water it did. At the end of the day, let's be real. So he has already said that he is trying to stay more politically neutral.
Yeah. You know what I think he's doing? I think he's doing the same thing as Terry Matalas appears to be doing with Star Trek Picard, where he's saying one thing to the cameras. He's giving himself plausible deniability. But what's there on screen towards the end of season Picard is that the Borg is a woke mind virus affecting the young. See, there's a very big discrepancy between what is said in public and what's actually there in the work. And I see the same thing here. I see a very subversive message that goes straight
the lines of Wes Anderson or Woody Allen, where much like an album where I like the band and there'll be some good albums and some not so good albums, but at no time do I ever feel that the band or the artist is trying to how do you say it, do together, and it's not about any one thing. That's kind of how.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I didn't notice like anything that was like there's no. I mean, there's an F-bomb in there, but
right.
But it was subtle, and it was like in a funny situation and everything like that. There was nothing that stand out like typical like slogans that they want you to repeat. None of them were in there.
Now, I'm going to make a joke prediction. You can tell me whether I'm right or not. You had James Gunn's crew trying to deal with some kind of earthly devices like cars and not being able to get in them. An earth word, and the fact that these aliens are constantly having to deal with oh God, what's his name? The fact that they got to deal with his earthly idiosyncrasies. I would imagine it's the only logical way to execute that. What does that mean, Peter?
There's no question about like, well, what does that mean? It's just like an expression of annoyance, and the annoyance is well received and reciprocated. So yeah. So I had like no issues with that. I don't see anything that.
That's good to hear.
Well, Culture, you got to be careful that in this day and age that you're not reacting to ghosts.
Oh, I know. I'm the one that has been saying that for a long time. Is we see ghosts around every corner.
Correct.
Yeah, I know. This is the problem with everything being wokified. That sometimes there are things that James Gunn can be able to like say to Kevin Feige and Iger, a very anti-Black Rockian message.
Wow, I'm looking forward to it. I'm buying my tickets for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm already set to see it tomorrow, and I'm going with somebody who's quite the normie, so it should be.
Don't forget, a lot of this was finished at least or filmed under Chapek too.
Yeah, I just think that again, I'm going with of quite the normie, so my anticipation is that I'll get a different perspective in addition to mine, which I love it when that happens because it informs my opinion.
Yeah.
So if anybody's going to see anything there, that would be they would say, well, this is incongruous with the other two films. So
the only thing that I think that may like hamper is that it's very long.
Right.
But I understand why it was long.
Right.
I have no issues with the running time. There are like movies when you feel like, oh, this could easily have been like 10-20 minutes shorter or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that Transformers, the Beast one, is 4 hours long. Is that
I
true?
think that was somebody misinterpreted something.
Oh,
well,
somewhere.
I'm sure it's going to feel that way because the trailer.
Yeah, I'll probably feel that way.
Was a bit fast, so I'm sure it's going to feel.
I like mechs.
Whether it's 90 minutes or
Gorilla
not.
Mech.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, go Gorilla Mech.
But in this particular case, the movie didn't feel long, if that makes sense. I wouldn't have minded it going on for like another 10-15 minutes because I was like thinking, well, this is really long. Does it have to be that long? But as the story progressed, yeah, actually, this is one of those movies that did need to be that long. Because of how the story is constructed, and nothing wrong with the story, but because of how it's constructed, it did need to be that long for everyone to get their moment and to get the satisfying conclusion out of it.
Yeah, because that was going to be my biggest concerns is the length of the film and the complaints from the critics, which are kind of the ones that have me scratching my head.
Yeah, what are the complaints? I haven't read the complaints in detail. Let's
one of the complaints is it's overindulgent. It's overindulgent on animal cruelty.
Yeah,
there was some complaints about that.
Well, and again, I mean, Andre wouldn't see that because his heart is not there. He's heartless, so he wouldn't see any.
Yeah, but he likes animals. He likes kitties and puppies.
He likes
and deer taste good.
Animal.
Yeah, he eats animals.
It's a rendered animal.
Let's not forget. I eat whales, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. I mean, like I said, Tom. So he's not going to feel that the same way we do.
True.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be fine with somebody going Ginsu on like a raccoon or something.
I was going to say, giant you for
what? What is the hype?
Yeah, okay, but anyway, it's more implied. See it, you get like the effects, and you have like people see video and the first Toy Story with like all of the messed up toys and everything.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's kind of like that, but with animals.
It's a 3D rendering of a raccoon. Everyone, It's 3D. It's not a real raccoon.
You know what? Some people
An
identify
otter, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, some people identify with that, Paul. I'm very frustrated with your lack of empathy of in the audience that it really
I'm not
has
this thing that he keeps saying that I am.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, there are people who are literally attached to these characters, and now you're destroying their worldview. Are you okay with that?
I'm a cruel
You'll
person.
see how fake I am when I blow your face off with this freaking gun.
Yeah, I think I don't think that people are going to be too horrified of it. You know what that sounds like? If there was a review saying that the movie is too indulgent, that it goes too far in its cruelty to animals, you know what that tells me? This tells me that it's a critic that is looking for some reason to attack the movie because James Gunn is working for David Zaslav right now, and David Zaslav is the orange man bad of Hollywood, and they need something to latch onto to give some kind of negative review because they can't give it anything positive. And so they latched onto that in desperation because there's nothing else. People, this is a good movie. That's what that review tells me, that the reviewer is desperate to find something negative to latch onto. What's next? What else are the common complaints of the reviewers? Because I deliberately stayed away from the reviewers.
The other reviews were, yeah, it was that it was indulgent in the animal cruelty bit, and then the other parts were that it pulls on the heartstrings too much. And it's too long because it has too many endings because it wraps everything up.
You're a mean one, Mr. Shadow.
It probably could have done without, like, okay, it could have done without the post-credit scenes. I mean, that's what they're talking about right there. Up until the post-credit scenes, you needed everything. There were no multiple endings prior to the post-credit scene. And then the post-credit scenes, yeah, I guess they both of them were superfluous. That's what they're talking about there. So this is not like a Return of the King situation where you have like 5 different endings on a row. This isn't that. There's like a solid ending for all of the characters, roll credits, and then post-credit scene where we go a little bit beyond it. That's what it is right there. I think that where indulgence is concerned, there was more of that and more clutching of heartstrings in the second movie than there was in this one. There's like more obvious like heartstrings in that one. Here, it's just, again, to me, those criticisms are pedantic, and it tells me that the reviewer in question has nothing worse to latch onto. So in desperation, they try to find something.
Well, can I ask you, did you see it in 3D?
No.
First two were amazing in 3D. I'm going to see it in IMAX 3D, but it was actually shot for IMAX too. So,
I mean, I saw it in Norway. It's a good thing it wasn't on a regular TV. So, yeah.
So we'll find out how the rest of us feel tomorrow. I was hoping to get at least one other person in here who has seen it, but I don't know if they're back yet from their.
Well, I don't want to hear any spoilers.
Yeah,
I mean, Andre was very good.
Yeah, spoilers.
Well, I just wanted a second opinion, but we'll get more of those over the next day or so. I'm sure.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opinions, and I'm sure that many people will disagree with my thoughts, but those are my thoughts. So yeah, that's how it is.
Considering that the movie is not tracking to be a big opener.
Yeah,
there's been very few movies that I've been as excited about as this one, and maybe I'm not your typical audience.
Well, but I feel like I reflect that same opinion because I've been excited about this film for a long time, but then my excitement continued to get knocked down everything that was revealed along the way. And like I said, I think that a lot of people are going to be concerned about what characters are being lost and when during the course of this adventure. And, it is the last hurrah for this group of
I hope they all die so I don't have to go to another damn Marvel movie.
All right. Well, that's
what I was afraid of for the entirety of the movie. I mean, like, really, I had like that feeling. I was like thinking, "Oh, please don't die! Please don't die! I care too much about you. Oh no, don't go in there alone!" Like literally, I was like feeling that, saying that to myself the entire movie.
But that having consequences in a superhero movie, that's quite the accomplishment.
This is a movie where I felt, knowing full well that this is the last Guardians of the Galaxy. Gunn is leaving. He's probably taking his cast with him. So going in, having avoided all reviews, everything, I felt that any one of these characters can drop dead at any moment. So I genuinely felt there were stakes this time.
Well, every time I see Zoe Saldana on the screen, I keep going, just have a sandwich, please. Like,
I think she's very fit. She's very fit.
Oh, no doubt. But you could use a.
Oh yeah, she could fit into anything. She's like a rail.
She's very fit.
On the note of the film, Hi Cthulhu sends in $5. Thank you, and says critics are having low reviews because Gunn is abandoning the woke. Hi Shaman. Disney don't think it's because of Zaslav. Well, where is he abandoning? Where is he abandoning it to?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And who also is the star? Let's not forget about that.
So it's a movie that stars the one person, the one actor that the woke reviewers really can't stand and want to fail. It's made by James Gunn, who is leaving woke Marvel and who is going to the Orange Man Bad of Hollywood. That is part of it, absolutely.
I think so.